Welcome to another episode of the Chronicles of Mr. I'm Mr. Pierre. I'm so glad to be joined by Whitfield world creator. Is it Mrs. Whitfield?
Yes.
Excellent. Can you introduce yourself to the community?
Hello, everybody. My name is Ronice, but you might know me as Mrs. Whitfield from Whitfield's World. I've been in education for about 21 years. I have my bachelor's in elementary education. I have my master's in educational leadership and a principal certification. But for the majority of my teaching career, I've worked at-risk, low-performing schools, and I'll have it no other way.
Excellent. And I like to ask my guests and start off with this first question of what has brought you into education? What brought you in? Why are you doing this work that we now love? But what was the genesis of it all?
Well, actually, I had no clue what I wanted to be when I went to college. But there are so many of my family members who just said to me, I know you're going to be a teacher. You're good with kids. And so I said, well, I'm going to be a college professor. And that first English grade came out, and I said, no, I'm probably not going to be that. I'll stick with elementary. And so that's how I became an elementary teacher.
Excellent. And you mentioned that it's been 20 plus years. What's kept you in this work? Because a lot of people are choosing to dip out, and no shade or tea to them, but what's kept you in this work?
I believe that I start finding a love for working with students and teachers at-risk schools. I started originally as a first grade teacher and second grade for the first 7 years of my career in South Florida, working at those schools where a lot of the students need additional support as well as their parents. I moved to Texas in 2009 and started teaching. Yeehaw, Texas. And I was teaching fourth grade, but I noticed there are a lot of students that still needed help and teachers as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
find myself always finding those 4 or 5 teachers who are just struggling and knowing the answer and knowing how to help them. And that just took on a new turn for itself, so much so that I remain in education as a reading interventionist, a student support interventionist, so that I could relieve stress for teachers.
Mm-hmm.
They're so burdened down with so many things. They don't actually get the opportunity to get down to the nitty gritty like
Right.
I have that opportunity. And so I look for ways to say, hey, okay, these group of kids are in well below. Girl, let me tell you what to do. And I'm
Mm.
able to relieve that stress. So that keeps me in education.
Awesome. I'm going to assume, but you can correct me. Was there an educator in your upbringing that did that for you? That sort of, um, took care of not just the teacher, but also took care of the kiddos.
And my third grade teacher, I absolutely loved, Miss
Mm.
Sloshberg. I was in a gifted and talented program. I'm not quite sure what it's called in you all's states.
Yeah.
But she absolutely made learning fun. And secondly, my parents by natures are teachers and leaders.
Yeah.
And so I really just kind of honed in on that spirit, and it's what I do. It keeps me
Excellent.
going.
And I now know because I've seen the blended box that you mentioned. Can you tell us more about that for folks who may not be familiar with it?
Sure. As I stated earlier, I was a first and second grade teacher. And so I really learned the foundations of reading, everything you needed to know in order to read. But when I moved here in Texas and start working with students in the fourth grade, I quickly realized although they were fourth grade students, they were first grade readers, kindergarten
Hmm.
readers. And I used a lot of the material that the school district gave me, which for the most part was for comprehension. Because, of course, in fourth grade, you would assume those students have mastered their skills. And I
Right.
went on what I felt was like a journey across the world to find the best resources and just did not find anything.
Hmm.
And I said, you know what? I'm going to work with my first grade teacher partner and I'll just use their material. Well, it was awesome, but it was too slow because it was written for a first grade pace.
Right.
And I had to get my students passing this. Back then, it was called a tax test. the state
Mm,
exam. So there wasn't anything that I could use that would close reading gaps fast, but be engaging enough to capture the minds of older students. And so I created it, and that was maybe like 2010 or 11.
hmm
Listen to this. I didn't take it to the next level until about 2 years ago when I was joking around with a sixth grade teacher at my current campus. And Mr. Sledge said, at the time, my name was Herbert. I'm married now. Herbert, how are you getting these students reading? And I'm just saying, all you have to do is do this. And so that doubt came in, like, it can't be that simple. Teachers
Yeah.
have to do this and this and this and this. And I said, hold on. I called a couple of students to the table. I said, y'all ready? As you can see, I'm very animated. Literally, there were no directions. And I said, first, you got to hit them with round one. Bam. And we're just playing. The kids are like yelling like we're playing taboo or something. Just
Right, right.
going. And I'm like, okay, next you hit them with round two. And I'm just going. Literally, I know the concept of the game. I'm making up that it's a round. And afterwards, he said, you need to make that into a game. And I looked around the classroom and looked at all the professional games. And I said, yeah, okay. And I kept telling him, you only have to play it for 7 minutes. He's like, I don't know how to teach phonics. I'm a sixth grade teacher. And
Yeah.
I'm just steady talking. The second time he said, no, Herbert, for real, you need to make that into a game. And I'm like, okay, yeah, cool. Listen, by the third time, I had chills over my
Yeah.
entire body. And I said, oh, this is God speaking
Mm,
through Mr. Sledge to me. I said, oh, I'm going to make it into a game.
yeah.
And that's what I did. And now it's a boxed resource that's been sold in now 17. Someone just bought a box yesterday from Alabama, 17 states across the United States.
If folks want to get it, where can they go to purchase this? Because like you
Okay.
were saying, I'm not a I'm a math teacher, but I
Okay, cool.
recognize to be able to access, like you're saying, if I got kiddos who are in the sixth grade who can't access the literature, then they're gonna get hung
Absolutely.
up. Where can folks go to purchase this?
So if you would like to purchase the blending box, you can go to whitfieldsworld.com.
Okay.
And I originally created it for teachers in school districts.
Yeah.
So right now, I actually am putting a bid with Dallas Fort Worth School District, and so let's keep our fingers crossed for that.
Will do.
Um,
Will do. Will
but
do.
but parents can use it, so it's really for teachers, and I'm trying to just get into the school districts. But parents are able to use the blending box as well.
Excellent. Excellent. I love to hear it because there are so many of us who, from what as I'm listening to you, who may have this one mindset but not realize, no, you can do so much. Being an educator, we do so much, and just being able to either put into writing or put into game
Mhm.
form or they put into music, whatever it may be. It's not just this one lane of, oh, I teach this subject, that's all that I am. What I'm hearing you say is like, no, we do a lot. We just at times will need that voice, whether it be from above or be from a coworker who sees it within us to speak it to life, so to speak.
Absolutely. I can't agree more. There are so many million-dollar ideas that are within us as educators that we just churn out, not even knowing that we're solving problems,
Yeah.
especially the educators who are working at-risk schools where
Yep.
you're having to find yourself look for something because what is given to you still doesn't work. You have that million-dollar idea. My advice to you is to create it and put it out there. We need
Whatever she said, amen. Agreed.
it.
Because it so often the things and tools that we're given are not the tools that were made with our kiddos in mind. And
Absolutely.
consequently, if I need a screwdriver, a Phillips head, and you don't have, and you all you got is a flat, then it doesn't really help me out. I'm trying to do something that wasn't made and intended and created for the problem that I have. And it sounds like specifically the blended blocks that you have made is targeting exactly for our kiddos and filling those gaps that they currently have.
Listen, I have used this blending box with students, and they've closed so many gaps within one school year.
Excellent.
I've kept my own data, which isn't respected yet. So
Yet.
I'm working with a college professor, and we're getting together with another college professor that's passion is dyslexia,
Hmm.
another one for SPED, and I also have in the works a Spanish version. And
Excellent.
so they're going to collect the data and research on my behalf. And we're going to move forward with making this blending box research based because
Mm.
that's the door that's usually closed in my face. They
Yep.
say, "Is it research based?" "Oh, well, I'm sorry. It's not
Yeah.
research based." And I'm like, "Yeah, but it's kid based and
Yeah.
it's closing gaps." So it's definitely needed. If you're an educator that's out there and you're just struggling, you just feel like your head is underwater, especially those that are in testing grades, and you need something that's fun, that's quick, and that's going to have a lot of your students uh, changing their avoidance behavior techniques,
Mm.
then the blending box is it. Because that's another thing. They stop all of those avoidance techniques.
It sounds like the engagement is there, and anything that would possibly be a road bump or a blockage,
Mhm.
it identifies that and addresses that. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely,
Excellent.
absolutely. Yes.
And I hear you about the quickness to say, is it research? Is it research? Is it research? Rather than here are the results. To accept that, as you said, it's kid based, it's kid
Mhm,
research.
mhm.
The results in the
It's
kiddos speak
working.
for themselves. Yeah.
Yes, and it's very tricky, especially now, as an educator, to think outside the box. Um, People have done research to vet different materials. I
Hmm.
have my own thoughts about that. In my opinion, and through my experience, I've only recognized teachers whose testing scores were great be elevated to the district level,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
so in the past, I've had a reading interventionist who felt, when I first, was coming out with the idea, why would you create that? We already have this program and this program, and it works with students. And I'm just like, if it worked, there would have been no need for me to create, right?
Talk about it.
However, she never had the journey as I did of having, one year when I was a fourth grade teacher, I had 36 students. Okay, so I partner taught.
Hmm.
Out of 36 students, 32 of them failed their reading and math state assessment.
Hmm.
When those students took the test in fourth grade, I had the most exceed expectations from the testing scores.
And that's not sufficient enough for him.
Not it's not enough. And
Mm.
so there's at sometimes, and I'm not saying that the research based material that they present to us doesn't work. It does work. But there's still yet another group of students that
Yeah.
are below that. And I mean, even after COVID, it just widened the gap.
Even
And
more. Yeah.
so there's nothing, sir. When I say nothing, there's nothing out there like this where kids aren't embarrassed.
Mm.
Um, I'm thinking about, if I have the permission after the state test is over, I'm thinking about creating a blending box tournament
Mm.
because so many students are wanting to come play, wanting to come play, wanting to come play. And if they're wanting to play a game, not knowing that you're mastering every skill you never mastered in first and second grade,
Right.
it's a
Right.
win-win.
It is. It is. And I think that what I'm hearing and what I'm appreciating is, if the kiddos are showing engagement, if they want to engage with the material, that's a win, because so often apathy is the thing that we're trying to combat as educators. Like, we want the kids to be engaged with whatever material that we're teaching, and from the sounds of it, your kiddos are chomping at the bit for it.
Listen, I had this one student, his hate for reading was so real
Mm.
that when he would read a book, he would read it like with a tone of aggression.
Mm.
Like it was unlike anything. But as soon as I got those flashcards out to play the game, it was like because it wasn't in a book
Yeah.
format, his mind had no clue that I'm giving you the strategies necessary to be a successful reader.
If they
So
can
the
get it through,
delivery,
yeah, that's
game
it.
based.
That's it. That's wonderful. And once again, is it whitfieldsworld.com? Is that where folks can
Yes,
go to get it? Okay.
yes,
Excellent.
absolutely.
Excellent. Now, I'm sure there are things that you are reading, that you are researching. Are there any books that you've read, that you are reading or have read, that you would highly recommend to the folks who are listening to this podcast?
All right, Mr. Pierre, let me just say again, hello, everybody. My name is Ronice. And unlike popular demand, I don't like reading.
Okay.
And for years, I'm so afraid to say that because of the looks that I would get. Even in college, I told my professor, I don't like reading. She
Hmm.
said, well, you'll never be a great teacher if you don't like reading. I remember moving to Texas and I was asked that question, oh, what book are you reading now? And I'm like, I don't like to read. Clutch the pearl.
Clutch of pearls.
How dare you say that aloud? Woe is me for your students who have to be in your class. Um, I don't like. I literally would do TikToks with my daughter on my free time. Look on Groupon for an escape room coupon. Yeah, but I've never been that educator that would snuggle up on the couch with a good book and hot cocoa on a winter day. Like that's just not me.
That's not
But the
you.
great
Okay.
thing about it is I'm animated and I know the importance of reading. So
Yeah.
when I read to my students, listen, the words from the page rise up and the mental images flow like a Netflix movie. Like we're
Nice.
in that thing getting down and dirty in the book. And so I don't really have a go-to book. I don't have a favorite book. I ran across a book once when
Yeah.
I had to be a guest reader when someone didn't show, and it was called Found by Margaret Haddix Peterson.
Okay.
um, I went into the fifth grade class and I'm reading from the book and I'm just into it. And there's a part where the lady is like looking down the hall. And I looked like this as if I was looking down the hall. I looked back at the students. Why 10 or 12 students was looking down the
What's she looking
hall?
at?
I'm like, baby,
What's she
we in
see?
class. But that's how I get so involved in the book. And the students enjoy reading and they respect that I also share with them that I don't like reading for entertainment in my fun time. Like that's, and they're like, oh, miss, you're the first teacher that says that, but you read so fun. And so it allows me to connect with them that says when it's time for you to do what you need to do, you
Yeah.
need to kill it. But it doesn't mean that you have to pretend that you don't. So if you're a
Got
teacher and you don't have to be ashamed anymore. I'll be your girl. I'll be your face.
it.
you
I will
you
say,
can say
no, I was just gonna say, I will say that you are the first to say that, and I'm hoping that there are others who are in the community who connect with that as well. I know for myself, I like to read, but I also like to listen to the books as well. So if you're a person who's
Mhm,
an audiophile who likes to listen to it, that cool,
mhm.
that works with you as well. Let me ask
I
this
like
though.
music and dancing.
Then
So
let's get to the music. What's on
okay,
Miss Whitfield's playlist? What are the top 5 songs, 5 artists, 5 albums that you would, and of course, knowing that this could change later on, but what would be the
right.
first 5 that come to your mind?
Okay, so I literally because I listen to like I'm all over the place when it comes to music. So
Yeah.
I had to like try to hone in and write something down. You see my pen, so I'm like, okay, Thai tribute. Like I'm going there. I'm getting my tambourine out the car, and I'm gonna go with them. I'm going with Ty. Jasmine Sullivan.
Okay.
Come on, Jazz. up and down with the roles. Goody
Okay.
Mob, who's that peeking in my window? I went to college in South Carolina,
Ooh,
so I got a little bit
that's a
of
good one.
that there. Um, I had to look up the name for this. I didn't know it, but I absolutely love this song. Mad Con, and they sing begging, begging you. Oh,
Yes.
the
Yes.
guitar, like I'm in it. And then for the last one, anything Florida, anything South Florida. I'm a Floridian. I'm from Palm Beach County, so anything, let's go. Let's
Okay.
represent.
Okay. All
So
right. I
those
can
are my
rock with that.
five.
I can rock with it. That's nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Folks, this has been an awesome, awesome conversation. Another dope episode with another dope educator. So first and foremost, thank you very much, Mrs. Whitfield,
Thank you
for
for
coming
having me.
through. Folks, once again, whitfieldsworld.com, where you can find that blended box to help your kiddos out. I'm Mr. Pierre. She's Miss Whitfield. And this has been another episode of the Chronicles of Mr. And we're out.